Afternoon, guys. Today I was thinking about Daniel chapter 3, and I just wanted to share a word of encouragement. In Daniel chapter 3, you probably remember from your flannel graph in Sunday school, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are thrown into the fiery furnace. And kind of a little background. Remember these guys, they're three godly young men. There are three young men who always endeavor to do the right thing. Remember when the king tried to get them to sit at his table and indulge in his delicacies? They refused. So these are good guys that we're talking about here. And in Daniel chapter 3, remember Nebuchadnezzar, he builds this giant golden statue. And the text doesn't say it, but I suspect that the statue looked like him. And he brings all the rulers together, all the governors, all the satraps, it says, all the leaders. And he says, okay, here's what's going to happen. When the musicians play, you guys are all going to bow down and worship him. And if you don't worship the statue, you're going to be executed. So the band strikes up a tune, and everybody bows down and worships this golden statue, except for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And you may remember that the king kind of liked Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So he brought him into his presence and he says, look guys, maybe you didn't quite understand what was going on. Maybe you didn't get the memo. Maybe something was lost in translation. But here's what's going to happen. The music is going to play, and when the music plays, you're going to bow down and worship the statue, or you're going to be executed. And remember, the three of them kind of in unison say, no, we're not going to do it. In fact, let's read the text. Daniel chapter 3, verse 17. If this be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. I like what they say here. They say, look, our God is able to deliver us. And even if he chooses not to, we're still not going to bow down and worship this idol that you've set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, it says, was filled with fury, and the expression of his face was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered the furnace heated up 7 times more than it was usually heated. And he ordered some of the mighty men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men who were bound in their cloaks, their tunics, their hats, and their other garments, and then they were thrown into the burning fiery furnace. Because the king's order was urgent and the furnace overheated, the flame of the fire killed those men who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell, bound, into the burning fiery furnace. Nebuchadnezzar was not just a king, he was a dictator, he was a despot, and he wasn't used to being disobeyed. And so it says when they refused, he grew furious. It says, what does it say here? It says that the expression of his face was changed. Right? Basically, he threw a temper tantrum. And he demanded that the furnace get heated up 7 times hotter than usual. And then it says the mighty men of his army. He didn't want just the normal guys. He wanted the guys who could tie really good knots. Right? The mighty men of his army, they bound Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they walked them up to the top of this furnace and cast them in. And it says it was so hot that the men throwing Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in, they died. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they fall into the furnace. Verse 24. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and rose up in haste. He declared to his counselors, did we not cast 3 men bound into the fire? They answered and said to the king, true, O king. He answered and said, but I see 4 men unbound, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt. And the appearance of the 4th is like a son of the gods. The King James Version says, and the form of the 4th was like the Son of God. So I like this little picture here. Nebuchadnezzar, he looks up and he says, wait, how many guys do we throw in there again? And his counselor said it was 3 guys. And he says, well, why do I see 4 guys in there now? And they're not bound up. They're strolling around in there. And the 4th guy, he looks like the Son of God. And this is an interesting picture. And immediately I would have questioned, why are they strolling around inside the fire like they're at a garden party? Not how many guys were in there, but he does a little inventory. And he says, why do I see 4? And why does the 4th one look like the Son of God? And that, of course, begs the question, what did the 4th guy look like at this point? And we know that this is Jesus who appeared here. What did he look like that set him apart, that Nebuchadnezzar could make this distinction? But here's the point I want to make. These 3 young men, they're in the midst of great difficulty right now, right? Right? Their lives were on the line. And they said, no matter what, we're going to continue to worship the Lord. Even though our lives are on the line, even when we're in this scary situation, we're not going to give in to fear. We won't be controlled by our feelings. We won't be consumed with worry about what might happen. We will worship the Lord. And I like their heart here. In life or in death, whether we live or die, we are going to worship the Lord. And of course, I love that part where Jesus shows up in the fire with them, that he delivers them. I like it how he says that they came out of the fire not even smelling like smoke, that not even a hair on their head was singed. The only thing that burned up was the ropes that bound them. And I think that's a beautiful picture of deliverance, of the Lord saving his people. But that's not even the point that I want to make right now. The point is this. It didn't matter what the outcome was. These young men were going to worship the Lord. It didn't matter what the circumstances were. It didn't matter what was going on around them. They made a decision that they were going to worship God. And I would encourage you today to make that decision as well. It doesn't matter what's going on around us right now, church. It doesn't matter what the latest models are predicting right now. It doesn't matter how draconian the quarantine becomes. Because God is in control. Worship him. He is seated on the throne. Worship him. Because he is worthy of our praise. Worship him. So I would encourage you in that, guys. Don't get distracted by all the things that are going on around us. Don't get distracted by the forecasts and the predictions and all the scary stuff in the periphery. Keep your eyes set on the King and worship him. God bless and have a great day, guys.